within Hope and Fear, we've got new classes and subclasses, quite a few. And then we mentioned the Dread Domain. What was important to capture? What are the classes and subclasses we're getting, and what was important to capture within those?
Yeah. So do you want to cover some of your favorites first, and then I'll jump in? I know you have some favorites.
I never have favorites. Yeah, okay. Warlock, Pact of the Endless, Pact of the Wrathful. When we originally conceived of the Warlock, we had a big sit down and we said, how do we want to approach this? And we iterated and did a bunch of different versions, and we ultimately landed on building this subclass around why the PC made their pact, what they wanted to use their power to do, and then getting to choose your patron and kind of what flavor they have through their sphere of influence is inherent to the class. That was really fun. And then the Witch.
Well, I was going to say, just on the Warlock really quick, I think that, people coming from a D&D or a Pathfinder and are used to, a Warlock that has specific packs for specific types of entities. We knew that we were going to be releasing 2 subclasses. And we didn't want to make them so, if we were building on what people would expect from a Warlock, because part of that is like people want to play Warlock. We've heard that over and over and over again, which tells us they're probably coming from a different system where Warlocks exist, right? And so, okay, looking at the expectation of that, their expectation is that they get to play the Warlock of their dreams in this with whatever, and we knew we had 2 subclasses that we were going to be able to do. And so if we kept to the road that other systems had kind of explored, the other big D20 kind of systems had explored with that, then we either had to make them so broad that they covered a lot of space, or make them specific and give people only 2 of what could be 10 different kinds of patrons. So we backed up and said, like, okay, what are we actually trying to achieve
Well,
here?
also, I love to play a Warlock or multi-class into a Warlock. I'm always trying to sell my soul in a TTRPG. And I think that the really interesting, dramatic question when you play a Warlock is, why are you so desperate, or what has driven you to be willing to sell your soul or your life for power? Because in a world where there is magic, any direction that you look, why aren't you just going to school and becoming a wizard?
Yeah.
Why aren't you getting this in a different way? This is expensive magic. And so putting that in the subclass of saying, you're Pact of the Wrathful, you are angry, you want revenge, you need violence to be able to dole this out, or Pact of the Endless, you do not want to die, you want to be unhindered in your pursuit, I think is a really evocative place to start with the Warlock rather than to kind of tack on. And then picking the deity that you would go to accomplish those ends is really fun once you know what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
I love a Warlock.
I love Warlock.
You're right, I do have favorites.
And then you have the Witch. Do you want to talk about the Witch?
Why don't you talk about the Witch?
Sure. The Witch is one of my favorite classes.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it's an amazing support caster in a way that I don't think we have in core very much. It's still really powerful, but it's your way to be able to buff your friends and nerf adversaries. We have the Hedge Witch and we have the Moon Witch. So very different feels.
The Moon Witch was Mercer's.
Moon Witch was Mercer's.
Mercer came in with that from way back.
Way back.
And it was cool from the jump.
I think he did a draft on Hedge Witch too, if not mistaken.
Oh.
I think he
I believe
had
that.
some when we decided we were going to do the Witch.
Mercer was so involved that I tend to lose sight of
with the source of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the Witch is able to help their allies in a really fun way. And that's something I love. So the Witch is one of my favorite classes to play because I love to play a support caster.
It was really fun mechanizing the narrative of the Hedge Witch in particular.
Oh, yeah.
The Hedge Witch, it's all about like potions and bits and bobs. And so there's tokens, and we get to kind of make that, express that
yeah.
at the table by saying you hand this to someone and make that not just a mental experience, but a physical experience
Yeah.
at the table.
You can, there's one ability that lets you like walk between worlds where you're able to like go and talk with spirits, and then their class feature is to commune, so they're able to, gain information that way. So really trying to be evocative in the features that we give them. So we have those two. Moon is a little more illusory. You can glamour yourself. So that's really fun. Sparkly. And then we have the assassin, which is I kill real good.
Yeah.
I call it murder the class.
And in particular, our assassin is like, I strike really strong in the opening of the fight. Mm-hmm. And then I can, with the executioner in particular, and then I can play on that strike from then on. But that is sort of your foundation. Like, you're going in first and you're hitting hard, and you're like, I'm either sniping from across the way or I'm sneaking up behind and like doing one big hit at the first moment, and then letting your sort of teammates build off of that. And Mark for Death, the class feature of that, helps with that. You put it on somebody and then they can't leave that person until they're dead, or you rest.
And the poisoner is the fantasy of having the belt of vials and you can poison your blade and inflict all these different conditions. And some people, I think, who maybe have played Pathfinder or D&D who've played a rogue might actually be more aligned with an assassin if they're trying to port a character over. Mm-hmm. We had some people ask why our rogue has grace. And you never know how to answer it, because I'm like, of course the rogue has grace, but that's not helpful.
No.
Like, what does that mean, Rowan? But I'm just like, of course you have magic and midnight and grace, and that's the most non-answer.
Well, I mean, when you look at like criminals, the charisma of having to run an organization, being persuasive, deception. You look at things like shows like Peaky Blinders, like so many of those interactions are based off bluffing or persuasion, like some of the best moments in mob movies all the time. So grace makes sense. Like, you are a charisma class.
And so we had people that specifically wanted to play an assassin kind of character. So we built the assassin to be like, you want that class fantasy? Here you go. Yeah. Right? And I think one of the nice things about Daggerheart is that because of the domains, we can, or maybe not because of them, but it is encouraged by them, we can niche down what those classes are. So we can say like, hey, a rogue exists and an assassin exists, and you can see how we're pairing the domains to make that.
But mechanically, how the classes and subclasses are designed, you really are getting the core parts of that fantasy that you want independently of the domains that they have. Exactly. So you're able to layer on. So don't think just because you are sharing two domains that exist with another character class, that's affecting your style of play.
No.
You have so much else going on. Yeah. This is why I like the Rogue Syndicate, where you can have someone, an NPC, snipe for you, and that's like my favorite. That's my personal favorite class in the game. Yeah. And subclass, because it's the you have people everywhere class.
I knew this guy here, I knew this guy there. Oh, this guy will come in and help. Yeah.
The Syndicate polarizes people, so it's cool to hear that you
weird.
love the
I'm
Syndicate.
obsessed with the Syndicate.
I
think about the Syndicate once per day.
That's my class.
I'm not
I
joking.
love that. And Nightwalker is her class, but I mean, because she wanted that, and I won the Syndicate, and so here we are.
Yeah.
But
I'm a huge fan of the original Thief Dark Project, massive fan of Dishonored, which is the spiritual successor.
Huge impact on me.
I think, to kind of jump off of Peaky Blinders, the other class we're adding is the Brawler.
Yeah.
One side of it's the Juggernaut, which is I punch good.
Yeah.
I hit so hard. I hit so hard, you come back around, I hit you again.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, I surround me and I can hit all of you. Right.
And actually, the art for the Juggernaut is inspired in a lot of ways by Peaky Blinders. We pulled a lot of images from Peaky Blinders with bar fights and the moment of pulling off the hat with the razor blades, which is there's just something so inherently bar fighty that they've captured in essence, and So that's a Juggernaut.
Yeah, they're like, I don't need a weapon. They can still use one, but they have a special thing if they don't have any weapons. They just punch really hard.
And
so
the
that's
martial
fun.
artist is, I hit in so many ways, you don't even know you got hit.
Yeah.
Martial artist in specific has different stances
Stances.
that they can shift into, and they have focus that they can spend to do things, and they have their own kind of, their own currency they could spend. But the stances are really fun because you can spend it and shift into like, okay, I'm going to go into defensive stance here, and then when the spotlight comes back to me, I'm going to shift into this stance and I'm going to make an attack, and now I'm in there. So like you can really customize, and there's a huge list of them. So you can customize the way that you want to play your martial artist.
It's so
to your
fun
heart's
having that
content.
toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
It's its own personalized toolkit that is infinitely different depending on who picks what as they level up.
And it's a challenge to balance. That was one of the biggest challenges, I think, and that design originally came from, I think Mike Underwood did a stab at the early version of the Brawler, and then we kind of took some of the design from there and tweaked it. So there's a lineage of that from a number of different designers, but and so getting that to be like balanced enough that it didn't feel like it was game breaking, but also still make it fun and still give you the variance, I think,
And a little bit of the gambling
for it. A little bit
mechanic.
of gambling, yeah. There's a little bit of that, especially.
And
Yeah.
folks who know the Void will remember at one point it was called the Fighter. Talk about polarizing. We also hours of our lives devoted to fighter brawler, and
know.
I think that's a testament to how awesome the Void is, because everyone just went, no, you will not be calling it that. I'm like, okay,
We're like,
thank
but
you,
they
chef.
fight. They technically are fighters, and everybody said, absolutely not. We said, okay. We were like, but is martial artist
Oh my god.
does that not align with what a brawler is? And everybody was like,
We don't care.
we don't care.
Yeah,
Brawler's
yeah,
the
yeah.
better name. So it's really nice to be able to get that kind of feedback in mass.
And shout out to the Void in particular, because I was team fighter. I was like, guys, brawler means something totally different than a martial artist, and the Void, everyone was like, absolutely not. And I was like, okay, I bow out gracefully, and I was wrong, and Spencer was right. But I'm so
that
glad.
rarely happens, but
No, I'm just glad that we can do that.
yeah.
Because even, I think names matter, things like that matter. And we talk a lot about the place where game design ultimately comes down to taste. Whether it be a campaign frame, whether it be mechanics, sometimes at the end of the day, it just comes down to the person or the people who's making its taste. And by having the Void and having so many people play test and having so many people involved in the beta, we're able to get a much larger palette of people's tastes before we have to make those final calls.
Yeah, and ultimately it comes back to us, what our taste is, and what we want to see. And I think it's really important that we're able to have a space like the Void where we can get reactions and take that in and put it under consideration, and always turn back to our core game design tenets, the pillars, and what kind of game we want to make. Because as we've had that back and forth conversation, it's been about forming a game that both they and we want together, right? Like, oh, these two things align, great. We know that is where we need to land with this because it works for both of us.
I think Daggerheart is kind of a secret extra team member in some ways. We have pillars of what Daggerheart is and how we want to approach it. And sometimes the conversation comes down to, that's not what Daggerheart wants. That might be what I want for my personal taste. And then when I look at it up against Daggerheart as a whole, I'm like, Daggerheart doesn't want that. That's not how, that doesn't follow the North Stars we've set out. That doesn't follow this kind of machine that we've crafted now over 2 books. It's kind of like this extra entity in the room. I think by now we have a bit of sense about, we can go, no. Daggerheart says no.
Well, and I think early on when we were making this game, it was like, okay, how do we make this thing? And now it's interesting, our flip is that all of us work in service of Daggerheart, right? So when you're making it at first, I think there's like a top down, we're making it and it's down here.
Yeah.
And over the course of the last year, maybe more, it's sort of become like, okay, no, Daggerheart is up here and we are all in service of this common idea, this game ethos, all of these principles and these pillars. We serve that. And if it doesn't fit there, it doesn't really matter what our taste is at the end of the day. Personally, I mean, armor is the best example. We talked about that before, I think.
Yeah.
But like, it's not in service of that thing, and it has to go because of that. So we've really tried to take all of that into account in Hope and Fear. We've taken some big swings. We've made this book specifically to say like, hey, these are options you can bring to your table to incorporate into the core game if you want. Take the pieces as a table or as a GM that you like and leave behind the stuff that you don't, leave behind the stuff that doesn't match the kind of campaign frame you're doing. I mean, to break your heart, in Journey to Horizon, it breaks my heart too, in Journey to Horizon, because you've been locked in this sanctuary for 1,000 years and you're now freeing, you can't play a Syndicate Rogue. We outright say Syndicate Rogues are not available
Yeah, it doesn't make
in
sense.
this campaign frame because it doesn't make sense.
It
So-
kind of takes it away,
yeah, so like, but from a narrative standpoint, of course you can, right? It matches. And so we're hoping that people take the pieces that they want when they're making their campaign at home, use the pieces that work, bring them into core Daggerheart as you wish.
If you want to continue to support videos like this, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, comment. I also have a Patreon, which makes these videos possible. Using that Patreon, I'm able to fly down to LA and conduct interviews, go to conventions, and afford the gear required to make interview content like this. So if you want to support more video content like that, fantastic. Thank you for your support. I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for watching.